Hey guys, it's Jim here, and welcome to the final episode of Would I Rebuy This Guitar? We're not ending this series because we're out of guitars, if you can believe it or not. We're ending it because I wanted to talk about guitars that either had really good stories behind them, or the times in which I had them, or guitars I thought were really good. So we're gonna just bypass all the negative stuff in that sense, and maybe I'll bring up some of these other ones in future videos, and we'll go from there. However, this last guitar is a special one. It's a 1990 Orville by Gibson Les Paul Custom. And this isn't the first Orville that I've talked about on this channel or in this series. I previously had an Orville, not an Orville by Gibson, Les Paul Custom in the black. And that's what led me to purchase this guitar. After I'd sold the black one, I liked everything about it. I didn't like how light the rosewood was on the fingerboard, and I mentioned that in the other video. But outside of that, obviously the weight was something that I wasn't the biggest fan of. And so I parted my ways with that guitar, took my money, a little bit of profit, and carried on. I noticed one of the shops I shop at in Japan had this white one. And what I noticed was different was, it said by Gibson underneath it. And that didn't mean much to me at first glance, but the more I researched, the more I realized I was looking at a much better instrument. Now later on this week, I am going to be making a full video dedicated to Orville and Orville by Gibson guitars, the history of them, the factories that they were made in, what you can tell by serial numbers, the pickups, electronics, all that fun stuff, because there's a lot of information, and believe it or not, a lot of it is a lot harder to come by than you would think. But back to this guitar, and when it showed up and I took it out of the box, I thought it was, probably one of the prettiest guitars I've ever had. I lifted it up. It was lighter than the black one, but it still wasn't, ideal. And part of me already knew in the back of my head, I don't think this is going to be a lifer, but I loved everything about it. And the thing that sold me so much on this guitar, and so much on Orville guitars, when I sat down to play this guitar, I've played a lot of Les Pauls. I have this really high-end one right now, the ES Les Paul. I've played historics, I've played standards, I had the Les Paul piece, countless studios, whatever. Something about this neck and something about the tension of it was just perfect. And I wasn't sure if I had a one-off because the black one felt really good too. It didn't feel as good as this one though. This guitar was just like it. It was the feeling of a Les Paul that I've always wanted, and despite playing all those other guitars, some of them worth 4 to 5 times as much as this one, they never had it. And I alluded to this earlier, but this guitar did have Gibson USA Classic 57 pickups in it, and it was just perfect. This guitar didn't need anything. It was one of those cases where the guitar shows up and you don't even consider switching a single thing on it. And for somebody like me, that's kind of rare. I always can nitpick a little bit or think of ways to make things a little bit better, especially if I like a guitar, strangely enough. The more I like a guitar, the more I can think of how can I make it just a little bit better. But with that guitar, it was just amazing in every sense of the word. I loved it. I sat and I played with that guitar the night I got it. I think I played for about 2.5 hours, and about halfway into that, my back started to hurt. I ran into the bathroom and I grabbed some ibuprofen. I think I took like 2,000 milligrams, something like that. I don't know, I might be way off, but I took 4 pills and it helped the pain go away, and I didn't care. I woke up really sore the next morning, but my God, what a guitar. And it was such an eye-opening experience to me because it really made me think to myself, why the hell would I spend $4,000 on a Gibson version of this? What am I really missing out on? Well, there's 2 main things that are going to stick out right away if you're a big Gibson fan and you're looking at an Orville. And this is just straight up appearance-wise. This one, some of them didn't have this. Some of them came with an ebony fretboard. This had a very dark slab of rosewood on it though. And it didn't have the nibs, meaning the frets went over the binding instead of being around it like they are on some of the Gibson models. And to a lot of people that are purists, they'll say, not a real Les Paul Custom at that point, yada, 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 plus Japanese made. It's not American. But to me, the way it felt, the way it sounded, the craftsmanship was better than pretty much every American Gibson I've ever played or had the opportunity to demo out for a little bit. And I know right now I'm gushing over this guitar because I did love it. However, there are a few things about Orville guitars that you really maybe should consider, and at the very least you should be mindful of if you are considering purchasing one of those in the future. And one of those things I'm going to talk about here, and that's the truss rod. This guitar was made in the Terada factory in 1990, and it is said that some of the cost-cutting techniques that they used included using lesser truss rods than the Gibson counterparts. And if you do a quick Google search and just type in truss rod, Orville by Gibson, you'll see a lot of people complaining the truss rod almost has no space left for movement. And this guitar, it did have that problem. The good news was the guitar itself didn't need any adjustment. The neck was already pretty good, but when I went to make a slight adjustment on it, I noticed there was barely anywhere to go in either direction, and that caused a real concern for me and, you know, my reliability with the instrument going forward into the future. But outside of that, something I personally never had to deal with because I had sold that guitar before I ever had to really adjust the truss rod on it. This was the perfect Les Paul, except the weight. So let's just cut to the chase here, guys. In the episode where I talked about the black Orville Les Paul Custom, and I asked myself, would I rebuy this guitar? This is how I answered. So would I rebuy this guitar? I would buy it in the Alpine White if it was under 9 pounds. So probably not happening. There's no way I could find one of those guitars in that good a shape and have it be that weight. Just impossible. Or is it? This was the guitar I was waiting for all week. But I know I said that there was a twist in the title, and you might think that me rebuying this guitar was the twist. Sadly, no. The neck twisted. Because this guitar, by the idiots at DHL, sat in Miami for 5 days in a storage unit that wasn't climate controlled or humidity controlled of any sorts, there's now a twist in this poor guitar's neck. It's still playable, and the twist is on this side of the neck. It kind of curls in a little bit from here, so when you're chording, you have to kind of angle your hand a little bit more. And given the fact that I've already kind of disclosed the truss rod problem, I'm going to be taking this guitar to a shop called Wolf's Guitar in Jupiter, Florida. It's about 3 hours away, actually. They have a Plek machine, and we're going to see what we can do to get this thing in as great of condition that it can be. But just know, not everything has a happy ending in life. Maybe this will have a happy ending. Maybe this guitar will be able to be salvaged. But when I saw this guitar, 8.5 pounds, it has the Bill Lawrence pickups in it. Fantastic shape. Another dark slab of rosewood. This is not light like the black Orville. It plays incredibly well, minus that twist that happened in the top of the neck here. And it's such a travesty, because why couldn't this have happened to a mass-produced Epiphone or any other guitar this happened to a very uncommon, I won't say rare, because there was a lot of these guitars made in Japan, but an uncommon guitar to find here, and especially in this weight. This was a real gem of a guitar, and I'm very happy with it. I'm still able to play it, but obviously it's not in perfect condition, so I can rip solos on it and have all my fun. And this is the guitar that we're going to be keeping, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but I did put a few guitars up for sale, and I'm even considering selling that one. And you might be thinking to yourself, why? Why would you get rid of the 339? And, well, I'm not positive I'm going to do it, but I was using that kind of as my guitar to get Les Paul sounds out of, and now that this guitar is here, and I'm not going to be able to sell it because I'm not selling this with the twist in the neck. That is just insane. I would get absolutely docked on it. I'm going to be getting some insurance at some point from DHL. How much and when, that's to be determined. But considering I also have the ES Les Paul now, that it kind of covers the other bases that the 339 would use. So between this guy and that one, once this guy's totally fixed and up and running, I really don't know if I have a purpose for that guitar, and I might be looking more towards buying a full-size 335 instead. So obviously, yes, I did rebuy this guitar. I love this guitar. This is the greatest looking electric guitar style and color combination in the history of the instrument, in my honest opinion. It does need some work done to it, but we're going to be taking it to that shop in Eastern Florida, and hopefully we can get it. And this is a long haul guitar because of that. I can't sell it with the twisted neck in it. I'm going to take a bath in it, and I can't sell it undisclosed with the twisted neck, otherwise that would make me kind of an asshole, and I don't want to put that karma out into the universe. So Thank you for watching this series. Maybe it will return at some capacity in the future. I'm always buying and selling guitars, but it's just one of those things. If you like what I'm doing on this channel, leave me a like. I really do appreciate that, you guys. Thanks for subscribing. I'm seeing a lot more people doing that lately. So if you haven't, please do that as well. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about Orville by Gibson. Let me know what you want to know for this week's little history lesson in regards to the brand in general. But other than that, I will see you tomorrow for another guitar-related video. Take it easy, you guys.